Yo, what is up guys, it's Pedro here. So the Washington Commanders are making a ton of moves, and in this video I'll be talking about them releasing guard Mason Brooks and punt returner slash receiver Kazmeir Allen. If you guys are new, make sure to subscribe, hit that like button, and that notification bell as well. It really does help out the channel a ton, and it takes a few seconds. Okay, so the Washington Commanders have made a ton of moves this morning. Not any crazy surprising moves. A couple moves that surprised me. And I'm going to be talking about some of the guys that made it in my next video. But Mason Brooks, this was expected. But once they placed Braden Daniels on IR, it was like, okay, maybe now they keep Mason Brooks because they have another spot. And then when they released, I woke up late, so I don't know which happened first. But they also released Tyler Larsen. I was like, okay, maybe releasing Tyler Larsen opens up a spot for someone like Mason Brooks, which I don't necessarily agree with this releasing Tyler Larsen move. I know he might eventually get back onto the roster, but I think that's risky, especially with their history. Like the last couple years, they've had so many injuries at the center position. Obviously Chase Roulier, Tyler Larsen back-to-back years with injuries, and we've just been rotating in and out like third string centers. So it's just it's not been a good, we haven't had good luck with centers in terms of, injuries. And then Nick Gates, hoping he plays really well, but he has a history, had a really, really nasty injury. And, he looks like he's recovered from that, but who knows? It could be lingering still a little bit, probably not, but you never know. So I don't know. They'll probably be able to bring back Tyler Larsen, but I think that is a little bit risky. And then Mason Brooks, he's a solid player. They gave him a decent amount of a signing bonus, and I think that he will be back on the practice squad if he makes it, and then eventually could be called up to the active roster at some point during the regular season. So rooting for him. Seems like a good guy and showed out at camp at times, especially in the beginning of camp, and then after that kind of, slowed down and didn't, play as well in, a couple of the preseason games. But rooting for Mason Brooks, I think, he has a future with his team in the next year or so in the practice squad and, eventually being called up. So they also released Kazmeir Allen. This was not a surprise at all, but after his, recent performance in the preseason game, this was honestly expected. But before that, there was a chance he was going to make it, especially with how good he was returning. But the receiving wise, he didn't help himself throughout camp and the preseason, dropping some passes, and then also the punts, fielding one inside the 6, and then the other he dropped. You can't do that. So he's a practice squad candidate. Some teams might be interested in him, but after his performance, I don't think a team could put a claim on him. So we might be able to get him back. And then if Millen isn't doing well, then we can go ahead and call him up for a couple games as the returner. And looks like Dax Milne is expected to make the roster as well. And then Larsen, it looks like they'll bring him back if they can, but again, that is a little bit risky. If something happens, if a team wants him, then yeah, we will be out of a center, and it'll be Ricky Stromberg, who I like, but he's going to be our backup with no experience. So yeah. And they kept Curtis Hodges, which for me, that just doesn't really make sense. I don't see the need to keep him. He is not good. Yeah, he's young. He's got the size. Maybe has a little bit more potential than some of these other guys, but I don't think he was getting claimed. And he had a really bad, camp and not really bad, but he didn't have a great camp or preseason. Really didn't make a lot of plays in camp and the preseason. Made some bad plays, honestly. So very confused as to why he's on the team. I guess it's some insurance for Logan Thomas and stuff. But hey, if you're playing Curtis Hodges at that point, you're not in a good situation at the tight end position. You might as well just sign someone off the streets. I think that would make way more sense than playing Curtis Hodges. But those are some of the moves. I'll go over a couple others, and then I'll do a final video later today. But they're releasing Alex Arma as well. I had him on the 53. I don't know. They'll probably bring him back as well. It's very similar to Tyler Larsen. I think, you could see someone like Fedarian Mathis be put on short-term IR. I don't think Danny Johnson, but that's a possibility as well. Maybe another guy or two that we don't know about, one of those like lower-tier guys. They also placed Jonathan Williams on IR. Honestly, I would have rather them kept Jarrett Patterson as the fourth running back, or even Derek Gore, then keep Curtis Hodges as the fourth tight end. I didn't really see the need for that. They also released Jared Jones-Smith, practice squad candidate. And I haven't heard about Trent Scott, so maybe they'll keep him. And they're also releasing safety Terrell Burgess. That was expected as well. Let's see, any other moves? Benning Potway, they released him. And that's kind of it for the news. They released William Bradley King, Jace Whitaker, but those are all expected. I'm going to be talking about some of the guys that are expected to make the roster that have been reported that will make the roster in the next video. But appreciate you guys for watching. Hope you guys enjoyed. If you did, hit that like button, subscribe, guys. New and peace.